I'm 99 years old. I've experienced 18 economic downturns. I've seen the stock market crash and bounce back more times than most folks have switched jobs. Over 6 decades, I created $500 billion in wealth alongside Charlie Munger. And let me share something that many won't acknowledge. I could have been $500,000 richer by 65 if I had reached $150,000 in savings by 50 instead of getting stuck around 75,000. This isn't just a saying. It's not some feel-good talk. It's the math of compound interest. And the tough truth is, I was aware of it. I had the know-how. I had the earnings. Yet, I fell into the same traps I see thousands of others in today. I kept putting off decisions. I convinced myself I would start saving aggressively later. I improved my lifestyle when I should have been boosting my investments. And each year, I procrastinated cost me compounding power that I can't get back. Not because time is unfair, but because time is just numbers. Every year before turning 50, if you put off reaching $150,000 in savings, that's wealth you'll never get back. By the time you hit 51, you're already lagging. At 55, you're in a tough spot for good. The clock is ticking and time doesn't cut any deals based on age or good intentions. I'm here to share the 5 pitfalls that keep most folks stuck at $75,000 just when compounding is about to take off. If you can dodge these traps and hit $150,000 before 50, you change the game. You transition from just building wealth to having your wealth work for you. Let's kick things off with the first pitfall. A lot of people believe that reaching $150,000 by 50 is just a nice goal, something optional. They think the real wealth comes later with a bigger paycheck. That's totally the wrong way to look at it. Here's the breakdown. If you have $50,000 saved by 35, with an 8% annual return for 30 years, it grows to about $53,000 by 65. But if someone manages to save $150,000 by 50 with only 15 years left, they end up with $476,000. By waiting those extra 15 years to really start saving, you just missed out on $27,000 of lasting wealth. And here's the harsh reality. That gap gets way worse if you hold off even longer. Missing $150,000 at 50 isn't just a minor issue. It's your retirement shrinking a little more each year you put it off. Every year you delay before 50 is lost compounding power that you can't get back. At 51, you're already behind. By 55, you're in a tough spot for good. The clock is ticking and time doesn't wait for anyone. I'm going to share 5 traps that prevent you from reaching $150,000 by 50. A lot of folks get stuck at $75,000 right when compounding is about to take off. If you can dodge these 5 traps and hit $150,000 before 50, you turn the tables. You shift from just building wealth to having wealth work for you. Time becomes your ally instead of your foe. Trap number 1. The first trap is what I like to call the delay trap. It's that nagging voice telling you, I'll start saving seriously at 45 or 50 or whenever it feels just right. The issue is that perfect moment never really comes, and every year you hold off works against you. Let me break down the impact in 3 ways. First off, the math behind compounding doesn't take kindly to delays. If you save aggressively, let's say $2,000 a month for 5 years between the ages of 45 and 50, you could end up with around $150,000 plus some gains, probably getting closer to $200,000. But if you wait until 50 to start, you only have 15 years left before retirement. Your starting amount is smaller, your time frame is tighter, and you miss out on the full power of compounding. It's not just about losing 5 years. It's about missing the multiplier effect those 5 years could have had over decades. Secondly, our mindset tends to keep us stuck in procrastination. The person who thinks, I'll kick things off at 45, often turns into the one who says, "I'll begin at 50, and then at 55. It's a mix of recency bias and lifestyle inflation. You keep telling yourself that the future you will be more disciplined, earn more, and have clearer goals. But that future version of you is still facing the same mental traps, just with less time and more expenses. Procrastination becomes a habit rather than a choice. All right, here's a fresh take on that text. Thirdly, reaching the top of your career doesn't really matter if you didn't set aside any savings beforehand. A lot of folks think they'll stash away more cash when their paychecks get bigger. Typically, the highest earnings come between the ages of 45 and 50. But here's the twist. If you haven't saved up $100,000 by the time you hit 40, those peak earning years won't do you much good because your spending will just rise along with your income. You'll move into a bigger house, lease a fancier car, and enroll your kids in more expensive schools. That extra cash just disappears into expenses, not savings. Let me share a story. I know a management consultant in New York who's 54 now. He kicked off his career in finance and made a decent living early on. At 35, right after the 2008 financial crisis, when things were starting to bounce back, he thought to himself, once my bonus situation gets better at 45, I'll really start saving. I'll set aside half of every bonus. Well, 45 rolled around. The bonuses did get better, but so did his mortgage. He moved from a small condo in Brooklyn to a townhouse in Manhattan. His kids were enrolled in private school. He was renting a fancy car. The plan to save half of his income turned into just 15%, and that was tough enough. By the time he reached 50, he promised himself again. This time for real, he'd start at 50. But 50 rolled around with the same old tale, different bills, same holdup. He's 54 now. His total assets stand at $60,000, even though he's been pulling in over $200,000 annually for the past 10 years. Retirement before 70 is off the table for him. Even with a simple lifestyle, that $27,000 ongoing wealth drop I mentioned earlier, he's living it. He's leading a team, jetting around for clients, and feeling frustrated every single day that he's still clocking in when he thought he'd be slowing down. He recalled, "I remember being 35 and thinking once I hit managing director, I'd stash away half of my bonus. The managing director title came. The bonus didn't land where I thought it would. Living costs soared. And out of nowhere, I was 45 with just $15,000 in investments. Putting things off is a real killer because you think you have all the time in the world until you don't. The takeaway is this: postponement runs in reverse. Every year you wait adds another year to your delay. You're not just losing a year of compound growth, you're losing so much more. You end up losing way more because the starting point is lower. The real trap isn't about making a choice, it's about choosing to put off that choice. That procrastination is the real killer. The second trap is a different story. It's not about timing, it's about the narrative you create around your earnings. This is what I call the income illusion. It's that mindset that says, I'll start saving once I make more. It sounds logical, it feels like the responsible thing to do, but it ensures you'll never build any real wealth. Let me break down why this is so dangerous in 3 parts. First off, lifestyle inflation is merciless. When your earnings increase by 20%, your lifestyle doesn't just stay the same. It jumps up by 22%. That's Parkinson's law in action when it comes to money. Your expenses stretch to match and even surpass your income. You might think that a raise will give you some breathing room in your budget, but it doesn't. It just sets a new standard for your expenses. The larger apartment, the fancier restaurants, the vacation you've been delaying, all of that raise gets eaten up before you even consider saving. Secondly, the cost of missed opportunities is often hidden until it's too late. If you can't set aside 20% on an annual income of $80,000, You won't manage to save that same percentage when you're making $120,000. You'll likely save around 15% instead, since you've upgraded your living situation, transportation, dining, and overall lifestyle. Sure, the dollar amount might be larger, but the percentage decreases, and it's the percentage that really compounds over time. Plus, the initial amount you start compounding with is way more important than the total figure. If you save $15,000 a year starting at 35 with an $80,000 salary, you'll end up with $500,000 by the time you're 60, assuming a 7% return. On the flip side, if you save the same $15,000 a year but start at 45 with a $150,000 salary, you'll only have $180,000 by 60. Same yearly savings, but a totally different timeline. The person who delayed lost out on $320,000. That's the hidden cost of waiting for a bigger paycheck. Lastly, the initial amount you start with is more crucial than how much you contribute. Folks tend to fixate on how much they can save once their income increases, overlooking the fact that the starting base is what really counts. A smaller base with more time will always outperform a larger base with less time. I know this sales executive in Silicon Valley, 58 years old, who kicked off his tech sales career at 28, making $50,000 in an entry-level position. He made a promise to himself, "Once I hit 6 figures, I'll stash away $2,000 every month." Simple enough. He reached that 6-figure mark at 35. But by that time, he was married, had moved to the Bay Area, where rent skyrocketed, and had 2 kids. Suddenly, 6 figures felt more like just scraping by rather than building real wealth. Fast forward to 45, and he was pulling in $200,000. Yet his net worth was still only $80,000, because every time his income went up, so did his lifestyle. New house, better schools for the kids, fancier cars. At 58, his company announced layoffs. The severance package wasn't enough for him to retire comfortably. He still needed another 7 to 10 years of work. Meanwhile, a colleague who saved 20% on $50,000 a year since 30 has over $600,000 at 58. Same job path, but a totally different approach to saving. I asked the sales guy what went wrong. He replied, "I remember my boss asking why I didn't invest my raise. I told him I'd do it once I got another bump. That bump came 3 times, but each time something new took it away. The raise was never the answer." That's the takeaway. The illusion of income can be really harmful because it allows you to put things off forever. There's always another pay raise on the horizon. You never feel like you have enough money because once you start living beyond your means, the only way to change that is to set your savings rate based on what you currently earn. Whatever that amount is, the absolute minimum income is right now. Not next year, not after you get that promotion. It's right now. But even if you choose to save today, the next pitfall catches almost everyone off guard. It's all about what you convince yourself you deserve. The lifestyle anchor. This is the trap that softly tells you, "I've put in the effort. I deserve to enjoy life now." And you're not wrong. You do deserve it. But you also deserve to stay broke if that's your mindset. Let me break down the harm. First off, your lifestyle becomes part of your identity. This is the sneakiest and most dangerous aspect. You're not just spending cash. You're shaping who you are by what you buy. I'm someone who flies business class. I'm a person who eats at fancy restaurants. I'm the kind of person who drives a specific car. Downgrading feels like embarrassment, not smart financial planning. You've tied your self-esteem to the things you buy. Once that connection is made, cutting back feels like you're giving up status rather than gaining freedom. You'd prefer to maintain your lifestyle and miss out on the long-term gains than to change your habits. This identity trap keeps folks struggling financially for years. On top of that, opportunity cost is hard to grasp because future money isn't visible. Spending $5,000 a month on luxuries adds up to $60,000 a year. Over 30 years with an 8% return, that's $1.8 million you could have saved. But when you're shelling out that $5,000, you don't see that $1.8 million lurking in the future. What you notice is the vacation, the meal, or the upgraded seat. That immediate pleasure feels so real, yet future wealth seems abstract and distant. So you always pick the immediate thrill, not realizing you're swapping a fortune for temporary satisfaction. Lastly, recency bias makes present enjoyment seem 10 times more important than future security. We're hardwired to seek out quick rewards. Our evolution didn't equip us for long-term planning that stretches over 30 years, or the magic of compound interest. It got us ready for survival, social standing, and thinking about the short term. That's why someone making $400,000 a year can still find themselves broke. They're not foolish. They're just human. And being human in a world full of plenty without self-control is a sure way to end up financially average. Let me share a story about a lawyer in Boston. He became a partner at the age of 42. After 15 years of hard work, he suddenly started pulling in over $400,000 a year. It felt earned. It felt deserved. He decided to indulge in the rewards, living a lifestyle of $15,000 a month, owning 2 houses, taking trips to Europe, having country club memberships, and dining at fancy restaurants 3 times a week. He kept telling himself, "I can save later. I've worked hard for this now." Fast forward to 52. His net worth is $200,000. That sounds like a lot until you realize he's been making over $400,000 for a decade. After paying the mortgage, taxes, and maintaining that lifestyle, he's saved almost nothing. Any dip in income would spell disaster. The firm lets partners retire early at 60 if they have over $3 million in savings. He won't make the cut. He's still connected to the company out of financial need, not out of love for it. I remember him telling me about his partner who retired at 60 with $2.5 million, starting from the same point as him at 42. The only thing that set them apart was that his partner lived on $80,000 a year, while he needed $180,000. That difference of $100,000 a year added up to $3 million over 30 years. It wasn't that I couldn't earn. It was that I couldn't hold back on spending. Here's the takeaway. "I deserve it" is probably the most perilous financial phrase ever uttered. Sure, you do deserve it, but you deserve retirement even more. The real question isn't whether you've earned the right to splurge. It's about what's more important, next year's getaway, or the chance to stop working at 60. Most folks opt for the vacation. Then, at 65, they're grumbling about not being able to retire. They made that choice. They just didn't recognize it as a choice back then. Now, this is where psychology can get really tricky. Even if you manage to dodge those first 3 traps, there's one that completely paralyzes most people. The fear freeze. What if the market takes a nosedive? What if I end up losing it all? What if this is the peak? Those questions seem wise, right? They give off a vibe of caution, but they'll actually lead you to underperform for 3 decades. Let me break down the harm first. Being paralyzed by fear means you're guaranteed to lose. If you're waiting for the perfect moment and just holding on to cash, you're missing out on 100% of compound returns. The market tends to crash about every 7 years, but it also bounces back in that same time frame. Historically, over 30-year spans, the market has been up 95% of the time. If you sit on the sidelines to dodge that 5% crash risk, you're missing out on the certainty of a 95% gain. That's not being careful. That's financial self-sabotage dressed up as prudence. Next, let's talk about the harsh reality of inflation versus market crashes. Keeping cash earns you nothing, 0%. Meanwhile, inflation devours about 3% each year. Over 30 years, that means cash leads to a guaranteed 40% loss of wealth. A market crash might temporarily take away 30%, but it usually bounces back in 5 to 7 years. Cash, on the other hand, never recovers from inflation. You're opting for a permanent loss just to avoid a temporary one. That's totally the wrong way to think. All right, here's a rephrased version of your text. Thirdly, the asymmetry of regret makes inaction seem like a safer bet. Folks tend to feel the sting of losses more intensely than they savor the thrill of gains. That's what we call loss aversion. It's the reason why seeing your account dip by 10% feels way worse than the joy of it climbing by 10%. So in a way, doing nothing feels like a safer option, even though it guarantees you'll fall behind. You'd prefer to sit back and lose gradually rather than take action and risk a quick loss. But remember, a slow loss is still a loss. You might not realize it until it's too late. I fell into this trap myself back in the early 1970s. I was holding on to too much cash because I was anxious about the recession. Inflation was on the rise and the market seemed unstable. I thought, I'll just wait until things calm down. I'll jump back in when I see some clarity. But here's the lesson I learned. Clarity doesn't show up before opportunity, it shows up afterward. Eventually, things did settle down. But by the time that happened, I had missed out on 2 years of compounding at lower prices. Those 2 years would have been the best buying chance of that decade. The crash I was so worried about did happen. It went on for around 18 months, but it turned out to be shorter and less significant than what my caution cost me. In the meantime, the individual who continued to invest, who kept purchasing during the downturn, who pushed through the fear and stuck to their plan, ended up with a 30% gain by the time things recovered. They snagged assets at a 30% discount, while I was sitting on cash, earning nothing and getting eaten alive by inflation. My caution ended up costing me a big opportunity. Not because I misjudged the risk, I was spot on. Crashes happen, markets dip, but I was mistaken about the price of steering clear of them. The cost of staying out was steeper than the cost of being in. And that's the lesson that most folks never grasp until it's far too late. Here's the takeaway. Fear-induced paralysis is the pitfall I notice most in people my age, and I fell into it myself a long time ago. The market is like a wild confidence generator in the short run, but over 30 years, sticking it out has outperformed sitting on the sidelines 19 times out of 20. Timing the market perfectly is for philosophers. Regular investing is for the affluent, but here's the harsh irony. Some folks managed to dodge those initial 4 traps. They actually reached 100,000 by the age of 48 and hit 120,000 by 49. Then they encountered the final trap and completely walked away. Some gave up halfway, stopping at 75,000. This is the trap that takes down people who were just moments away from success. Let me break down the impact into 3 parts. First off, compounding acceleration kicks in after you cross a certain point, not before. Moving from 0 to 75,000 takes a lot of discipline and time. But getting from 75 to 150,000 doesn't require double the effort. It's actually 1.3 times the effort, because most of the growth comes from gains rather than new contributions. If you throw in the towel at 75, you've put in 70% of the work for 0% of the acceleration benefit. The compounding curve starts to rise sharply once you hit that critical mass. Quitting just before that point is like running a marathon and stopping at mile 24. Secondly, the motivation cliff appears at 75,000. This is the psychological danger zone. At 75,000, you reach the "I feel like I have money" milestone. For the first time, your account balance looks pretty impressive. You start to relax. You decide to stop putting money in every month. You convince yourself that you've made it. But in reality, you're just 2 years away from when your wealth could really start to grow on its own. This is when folks tend to pull out cash for so-called emergencies that aren't really emergencies at all. They cut back on saving. They find reasons to upgrade their lifestyles. That sense of ease, that's the trap. Next up, the pressure of time makes that final push super important. The opportunity starts to fade at 50. If you've got $75,000 at 48, you've got 24 months to add another $75,000. That means you need to save about $3,100 each month. It's possible, but it's going to take some serious effort. If you throw in the towel at 48, that gap never gets filled. You'll find yourself stuck at $75,000 for the next 10 years, watching the compounding you could have enjoyed just slip away. Let me share a story. There's this freelance consultant in Austin, Texas. He developed an amazing saving habit in his 30s and 40s. By the time he hit 48, he had reached $75,000 thanks to his consistent monthly contributions of $2,500 like clockwork. He felt pretty proud of himself. Then December 2018 rolled around. The market took a hit of 12%. Suddenly his account showed only $68,000. He thought he had messed up. He got really down about it. He cut back his savings to $1,000 a month until things got better. He mentioned that the market bounced back in 3 months, but he never went back to saving aggressively. He kept telling himself he'd wait for a more opportune moment. Now, at 52, he's sitting on $78,000, just $3,000 more in 4 years, even with the market climbing by 30%. He gave up just before the breakthrough. If he had put away $2,500 a month for 2 more years, he would have had $60,000 plus gains. He could have been over $150,000. Instead, he's stuck at 78, feeling defeated and thinking he missed his chance. I asked him what went wrong. He replied, "I hit 75,000 at 48 and felt wealthy. Then the market took a dip for a month and I felt broke. I let one bad month derail me from a 2-year push. That one decision to quit cost me over $100,000 in retirement options." The takeaway is this: the halfway quit is where aspirations fade away quietly. You don't fail because you never tried. You fail because you gave up 18 months before crossing the finish line. The acceleration phase isn't tougher. It's really easy to give up when you finally feel like you've got some cash. But thinking you have money at 75,000 is the illusion that stops you from actually having money at 150,000. Here are the 5 pitfalls. Now, let me share the principle that can help you avoid all of them. Back when I was practicing law in my early 30s, I made a choice that turned everything around. This was in the early 1960s. I was making a decent living, not rich, but comfortable enough. I could have easily upgraded my lifestyle. A bigger house, a nicer car, all the luxuries that lawyers in my position were splurging on. But I opted for a different path. I chose to live on 40% of my earnings and invest the other 40%. People thought I was being overly frugal. My peers would joke about it. Why live like that when you're earning good money? But I had seen men during the Great Depression, men in sharp suits with empty bank accounts. I understood that appearances don't grow your wealth. Only capital does. By the time I hit 40, I had managed to build over $100,000 in capital. Adjusted for inflation, that became the basis for every significant choice I made after those real estate partnerships, the initial investments with Warren, and my ability to take calculated risks without jeopardizing my survival. That financial foundation wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was about having discipline even when I didn't feel like being disciplined. It was putting away savings before I had the urge to save. It was about living below my means when I could have easily justified living at my means. The 150,000 mark isn't just some random number. I've witnessed it work in my own experiences and in countless partnerships and investments. It's that moment when you cease to work for money and money begins to work for you. It's not about motivation, it's purely mechanical. Below that mark, you're in the accumulation stage. Every dollar you save is a dollar you earned. Once you surpass that mark, you enter the compounding phase. Every dollar you save then earns more dollars from the dollars you already saved. The numbers shift, the game shifts, and the individual who reaches it by 50 has 16 additional years of growth compared to someone who gets there at 60. That's a significant gap. It's the line between being financially free and having to work until you're 70. That's why I've got clear guidelines about reaching this milestone. First rule, the milestone is genuine. 150,000 by 50 isn't just a goal, it's a formula. If you're below that figure, you're in the wealth building phase. If you're above it, wealth starts to work for you. It's not about mindset, it's about numbers. The instant you achieve it, the math shifts permanently in your favor. Don't see it as a bonus, see it as the finish line, because once you cross it, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Second rule, discipline comes before motivation. Don't wait until you're in the mood to save. Discipline fosters the habits. Habits lead to outcomes. Outcomes spark motivation. Motivation is the last piece to fall, not the first. Begin saving before you feel inspired to do so. Inspiration comes after success, not the other way around. If you're waiting to feel inspired, you'll be waiting forever. Discipline is what you stick to when you don't feel like it. That's the only kind of discipline that really counts. Now, let's talk about rule number 3. The lowest income is right now. Your current earnings are the only ones you can actually manage. You can't control whether next year brings a pay increase, a downturn, or a job switch. What you can control is how you handle today's paycheck. That's your only tool. Use it now, not after you get that promotion, and not when you feel more secure. Moving on to rule number 4. Market crashes are actually compounding accelerators, not halts. When the market crashes, it freaks people out and makes them freeze. But honestly, a crash at 40 is one of the best opportunities in your investing journey. You can snag assets at 30% less for the next 10 years. Your fear can turn into your fortune. The worst time to ditch the markets is when they're on sale. Stick around. Keep buying. Let everyone else panic while you build your wealth. Let me show you how this plays out when someone really puts these rules into action. I know a corporate finance manager in Chicago, 56 years old now. She kicked off her career at 32 during the late 2000s recession. Instead of freaking out, she made a choice. She turned down every pay raise. When she got a promotion, she continued living on her original paycheck, even though she was making more. She consistently saved 35%, which was about $1,800 a month, for 18 years. When the market took a nosedive in 2008 and 2009, she didn't panic. She bought more. While everyone else was cashing out, she was snagging bargains. By the time she hit 50, she had reached 150,000. And here's the kicker. She stopped her intense saving at that moment, not because she gave up, but because she didn't have to anymore. The compounding magic was in full swing. Now at 56, her net worth is over 450,000. She cut back her work to 4 days a week at 54. She's on track to fully retire at 62 with over 1 million in liquid assets and zero financial stress, even as a single-income household. Compare that to the lawyer I mentioned earlier. They're in the same income range. He's stuck at 200,000, still grinding away full-time, can't think about retiring before 70, or the consultant who walked away at 75,000. Still doing freelance work at 52 without a plan to exit. The key difference wasn't smarts. It wasn't about how much money they made. It wasn't just luck. She took one different approach. She didn't wait for everything to be perfect. She simply got started, and she didn't stop at 75,000. She completed the race. Here's the bottom line. Keep in mind, the delay trap tells you to put things off. The income illusion tricks you into waiting for a pay bump. The lifestyle anchor convinces you that you deserve it right now. The fear freeze keeps you stuck in cash. And the halfway quit encourages you to settle at 75,000. 5 traps, countless variations, same result. You won't reach 150,000 by 50. Here's the secret. Discipline today beats motivation tomorrow. Hitting the threshold is better than lifetime compounding. Secured compounding is more valuable than earned freedom. You don't need a pay raise. You don't need a market crash. You don't need luck. You just need to hit one number by one age. 150,000 by 50. Once you reach that point, your time turns into your most valuable treasure. Before that, it feels like time is just flying by. I'm 99 years old. I've seen countless individuals. The contrast between those who enjoyed a comfortable retirement and those who didn't wasn't all that complicated. It boiled down to one tough choice made early on, and they never reversed it. You still have the chance to make that choice, but the opportunity is dwindling. Each year after 35 gets increasingly pricier, and every year after 45 is borrowed time. I'm not trying to be dramatic, it's just the way compound interest operates. Aim for 150,000 by 50. That's really all there is to it. Earlier, I mentioned that I could have been 500,000 richer if I had reached that 150,000 by 50 instead of putting it off. I wasn't exaggerating, I was looking at the numbers. And the numbers don't play nice with you.